Hi, this is Rich Russell with Paraclete Consulting and Counseling. I wanted to do a video today because I realized that seeking a counselor can be stressful, kind of ironic, but even the decision to go to counseling can be stressful, and then finding the right counselor that's actually going to be a benefit to you. And I just wanted to do a video to give you kind of a heads up on who I am, what I do, and perhaps most important, why I counsel at all. It's really important when you go and see any counselor that you feel safe, you feel comfortable, you feel secure, so you can be transparent and vulnerable with the things that are going on in your life. And I felt that it would be important for me to be equally transparent with you about who you're coming to see. So with that, let me get started. I'll just start up front by saying, and I'll go into more detail on this later in the video, but I just want to say that I do relationally based, spirit-led cognitive behavior therapy. I'll explain a little bit about how I grew in this unique type of counseling as I get into the video. But first of all, I just want to let you know I've been an ordained minister for over 25 years. I've been doing pastoral counseling for probably longer than that. And I just want to give a little history of why. I was radically born again, and I had an encounter with the love of God that totally changed my life. I had grown up my entire life. Both parents were alcoholics. If anybody's familiar with that type of lifestyle, it's a shell of a home. There were some good things that take place, and I love my mom and my dad. They passed away now, but they just couldn't be there for me. I basically grew up unloved and grew up looking for love in all the wrong places until I had that encounter with Jesus. And the incredible privilege of that was that he brought me into a community of people that had also had similar encounters with Jesus. And I was able to begin to build relationships that I had never had before, depth of relationship. We were able to be transparent. We were able to be real with one another. We were able to do life together in a way where we could be vulnerable without feeling guilt-ridden or judged or condemned in any way. We just all wanted what was best for one another. It was an amazing atmosphere that was provided by a community where there was an umbrella of his presence, and we shared values of wanting to know God, wanting to know one another, and wanting to live a life that would be a benefit to others. That church, unfortunately, through deeds of the flesh and some spiritual stuff, ended up dying out. And then I had gotten married, and I was building a business, and I began to see the absence, the impact, the dysfunctionality that began to grow in me and my marriage outside of that community of relationships that was centered in God. And then all of a sudden, the 800-pound gorilla of circumstances of life began to drown out the voice of God that was leading me so beautifully during that earlier season of my life. But in that business, I started out as a carpet cleaner, and because of my background in the construction trades, quickly became an insurance repair contractor. And it's a challenging business in the sense that it's very stress-filled. People didn't invite it, they didn't expect it, they didn't want it, and they get into situations where they may not know or be familiar with how the insurance claim process works. And I would come alongside, and I would educate them. I'd walk them through the process. I'd give them assurances. I also learned the value of integrity and honesty, because there can be conflict between the insurance company and the claimant. And I made sure that I was the expert bringing in objective input to minimize any issues that might develop. And I found out that I loved it. I love the customer service. I love walking with the people through the stress and the property crisis that they were experiencing. And then, and one of the things that I needed to know about was the terms of the policy. And the cornerstone of every insurance policy is that they're required to bring the property back to original condition before the loss. And so, long story short, I soon learned that my calling was more about bringing people back to original condition before the loss by restoring their property, and that God had a more expansive role in coming into people's lives to do that. And it's been my passion ever since I realized that. And people began to become aware of the gift of wisdom and counsel that God had developed in me. And that took place. I was ordained shortly after moving to San Diego. Unfortunately, when I moved to San Diego, life happened. I partnered with another general contractor to facilitate the building of a very model insurance repair company. I did it. I did it successfully, and then the partner took the company and basically said, the arrangement we made, I'm not going to honor it, even though I had made it very profitable, and I have no idea why it happened, but it did. And we began to struggle financially, and we were having struggles in our marriage, and the finances exponentially magnified those issues in our marriage, to where it ended up in betrayal and divorce, and I basically lost everything. But during that time, I never lost my passion for counseling. And when my children were teenagers and preteens, we started a thing called Teen Church. This is a very valuable time in my life because I found out the importance of relationship. And what we did was we decided to do church the way soccer teams and Little League teams are organized. I would be on the sideline and I would be coaching. I would coach during the week. But they would be on the field, they would be practicing, they would be doing the sermons, they'd be setting up the chairs, they'd be organizing the meetings, they'd be discussing topics, they'd be getting to know one another in the process of that. And I was absolutely blown away by the creativity, the passion, the engagement, the commitment that the kids made. There was no passivity involved. They began to discover what their true desires were in life. They began to talk about what they wanted to do as careers. And these are just young teenagers just coming alive with, wow, the freedom to be me. And it was powerful and a very dynamic time. And then it grew so big that it could no longer be in our home. And then I discussed it with the team. I discussed it with the kids, and we decided to move into a local rec center. And within a month, Teen Church was dead. And that was mind-blowing to me, but it was a valuable lesson in that I realized that what it comes down to is we really long for family. We really long for relationships. And there was a genuine sense of family and relationship in Teen Church when it was in the home. But when it went into a building with the white walls and the linoleum floors, and it just seemed barren, and it seemed like we were, I don't know, doing an event or doing a business, whatever it was that went on internally in the kids. It ended, and I've never forgotten that lesson. So, but my passion for ministry continued, my passion to counsel, my passion to pray for people continued, and I ended up meeting a mentor and pastor that became my best friend, and he not only brought transformation to my life, he took my skill set in counseling to a whole different level. He was so gifted and so anointed, and I not only was mentored by him and counseled by him, but I also learned from him a tremendous amount. And I'm really grateful on this journey of becoming a counselor that even in the midst of the pain, God turned it into something good, and uh, and I grew tremendously during that time. And it was, as a matter of fact, it was during that time that I was doing some ministry with a young lady, and she was the most the most traumatic history of any person I've ever heard in my entire life. And on top of that, she was facing a potentially life-threatening crisis coming up in the near term. And and I was, I don't think I'd ever been as gifted or anointed as I was um, in processing with her. But there didn't seem to be any transformation. There didn't seem to be any freedom taking place. And I cried out to God. I said, God, I need more. There's got to be more. I feel helpless. And he led me to a book by Dr. Larry Crabb. Larry Crabb is a clinical psychologist and a devout follower of Jesus. And he is really one of the fathers of biblical psychology, at least in my eyes. And he couldn't rationalize the values and desired outcomes of secular psychology with what he read in the Bible about the values and outcomes that God desired for our lives. They may have been similar, but he was sharp, and he knew that there was something different, and he spent his life trying to meld the two together. How can we accomplish these using the tools that he learned as a clinical psychologist? And he also is very committed to relational counseling. As a matter of fact, and this got him in trouble with his own industry, is that he said that 90% of the time, friendship and good quality relationships in a Christ-like atmosphere would resolve most issues in people's lives. That it was only the extreme cases where a psychologist was needed. And yet he was deeply committed to expanding the well-being of people in general through the quality of relationships. And in the book that I read, he was describing people having visions of their lower nature and visions of their upper nature. And I prayed into this for months, and I finally got the expanded revelation, you could say, that I needed. And that was to get a template or a model where people could get a 10-point profile of what was going on in their inner man, and they would get it directly from God. It wouldn't be me speaking to them of what I was seeing, but it would be them having God reveal to them what was going on in their inner man, both in their fallen nature, which leads to death. You would get a 5-point profile in your fallen nature. I call it the survivor nature. And then you'd get a 5-point profile in your noble nature that is based in faith and confidence and belief, and the fallen nature is based on fear and the need to survive, and then people have a clear-cut choice, and I've found it to be very effective. It's been very effective in people's lives, more effective than the well-intentioned advice of a counselor, whether it's a friend that you've known for 20 years or whether it's a PhD with 3 PhDs. Until you can take it from your head to your heart, it's more difficult for it to bring transformation and change to your life. So that's what I do. I really use that model as a basis often, and then I simply become a sounding board. I want to come alongside. I listen for what God's saying during the same, question and answer period that the tool takes you through, and I'm listening as well. And I can be a sounding board. I'm not there to give answers. I'm not there to tell you what to do. I'm here to come alongside and process, so you can have clarity and confidence in what you're hearing. So that's what I do. I think probably my life experience, my journey of becoming a counselor, and including my life experience, the pains, the ups and downs, the challenges I faced in my life, and the turning to God and asking for wisdom and strength and restoration, worked into me a compassion where you're not going to meet a man that's going to be judgmental. You're not going to meet a man who is going to tell you right and wrong. I don't think that's the way God operates. God wants to connect with you, and in the connecting, love you into a better quality of life. And that's my passion as well. So on a practical level, the fee schedule is very simple. The first consultation is donation based. I have no expectations whatsoever. I just want to meet with you, connect with you, and see if it's going to be a beneficial situation for you. And if that first session is beneficial, great. I gladly receive the donation. Other subsequent meetings that we do, it's a fee-based schedule, and we can discuss that at our first meeting. So again, my passion is to see you live a better quality of life. I'm not motivated by, well, let's just say that's my primary motivation. I just want to see you live a better life, because I've had people come alongside me, and especially God come alongside me to restore me through the crises of my life. So that's a little bit about me. I'd love to meet you, connect with you, hear your story, and maybe go on this journey toward God together in a way that'll be beneficial. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to call. The contact information is down below. And until we meet, God bless you and live loved.